Hi, Pat the Podcast Editors here. How can you get guaranteed tangible results from your marketing? Well, today, Dan and Lloyd discuss return on ad spend as they take a look at the power of a good marketing strategy and how you can make sure you're not wasting money on things that don't work.
They just accept there's no evidence of a return. We know we have to spend that on marketing. We're pretty sure something works. That's a very old way of doing things.
We'll look at real-world examples you can put into practice, taken from previous Knowlton campaigns that have reached audiences worldwide, as well as generating millions in trackable revenue.
Our data has shown that the best way to sell to a 50-year-old man with grey hair and a beer belly is get a 50-year-old man with grey hair and a beer belly in front of him saying, "This is good."
Right, let's get stuck in. This is episode 79 of the Business Anchors podcast.
We're just a couple of business anchors. Welcome to the Business Anchors podcast. This jingle is slightly too long. This jingle is slightly too long.
How do you produce entertaining videos that drive a trackable ROI, Dan? And what is ROI?
That's a good question.
I mean, I know, but I'm kind of playing the part of the listener or the viewer, just in case we're using an acronym they don't understand.
Well done, Lloyd.
Thank you.
So I'm not going to give the game away immediately, but this whole podcast is going to be sharing an answer to that question. And also, I'm actually really excited for this episode because we're not just saying stuff, we're actually going to provide some real tangible examples. You know, sometimes when we started the podcast, we used to just say stuff, but now we've actually got loads of great examples to...
I feel like everyone that starts a podcast starts with just saying stuff and thinking, do you know what would be great for people to listen to? Like just us having a chat. I think every podcast starts with, we don't really know what this is going to be about, but we're just going to go with have a chat. And then a few episodes in, every podcaster realizes that their conversations aren't as interesting as they think.
Which is why we're going to try and focus on actually providing value for the listeners and viewers.
Yeah.
And to answer your second part, what's ROI? ROI is return on investment. This is probably on our, what do you say, like Business Anchors bingo, where we say something constantly.
Yeah.
Trackable ROI.
Trackable ROI is one. 2030 plan. Lloyd punching the mic. There's a few bingo, Business Anchors bingo items.
Yeah, and I think something that us as an agency focuses a lot on, and a lot of our messaging is to deliver a trackable return on investment for clients. So
bingo,
we're pretty clued up on this.
Yes, we are.
So
you could say it's our thing.
It is our thing.
One of our many talents.
Yeah. So I guess before we get into the how do you generate a trackable ROI with entertaining video, why do you think entertaining video and delivering a trackable ROI is important? So listeners actually...
It's a double whammy. Whammy. Another way of saying double whammy. I would also kind of interchangeably have entertaining video with like high quality content. Because I think it doesn't always have to be entertaining video, but I feel like that's like the optimum way of doing things. But I think there's steps along the way that if you do it at a high quality, you can achieve it as well. But the trackable ROI thing, for me, is just you are not throwing your money down the drain. Because so many businesses, either their entire kind of marketing efforts and budget is just like, we spend £50,000 a year on Stephen and his magazine, or on this agency that does these ads, but they just accept there's no evidence of a return. We know we have to spend that on marketing. We're pretty sure something works, but we have to do that. And I think that's a very old way of doing things, and we need to get out of it. And even some of our bigger corporate clients, not the SMEs, but the household names, there's portions of their budget that I feel are still that of, well, yeah, we kind of pay $45,000 a year to that, and that's
we just do that because that's what
we should. But that's the first thing. Sorry to keep talking.
No, please carry on.
In a minute. But the second thing,
reason why this is important,
yes, is having entertaining video means to me that even if someone's not ready to buy or sign up or whatever you want them to do, the action you want to take, with high quality entertaining video as the content, you leave millions of people, potentially, if you have that budget, with a positive sentiment towards your brand and willing to consider you in the future if they ever are ready to buy. I think that's like the secret sauce of this world that we're in of entertaining video in advertising and marketing. It's we might be comparable to some other marketing channels if it's on the return on investment immediately sometimes for some clients, but the other side of it where other ways of advertising, it's like, oh yeah, I didn't buy from them and their shit ad has been following me around the internet for weeks and I'm never consider working with them. Whereas with entertaining video, they come out of it going, I'm not ready to trim my body hair right now. But if I ever want to trim my body hair, I'm going to go with Manscaped because I've seen their ads for the last 2 years. They're really good. And I think the quality of their products looks great. And I've been entertained by their advertising.
And I think entertaining content is disarming as well. Like consumers nowadays are so aware of advertising and so like people don't like being advertised to and feel like, oh, someone's trying to sell me something. So having that entertaining take on content as a first touch point, people like their barrier goes down. They're not thinking, oh, who's this company trying to sell me stuff? They're thinking, oh my God, I love that piece of content. And then they're disarmed for you to sell to them when they're kind of ready.
And now in the marketing and, the digital marketing world has been around now for a couple of decades, but it's that effect is so scalable now. Like I realized when I was prepping for this podcast, I was thinking of examples. So one of them was Manscaped, where I was like, I would genuinely consider buying one of their things. Another one, so Ryanair's TikToks. I was thinking,
they're brilliant if you
so genuinely, I had quite a negative view of Ryanair, I'd say, for the past maybe 5 years. I had a couple of flights and I was like, oh, this is just cheap and a bit rubbish. And then I realised now, I follow their TikTok, I find it funny. And they've got this subtle humour of taking the mick out of themselves.
That they're cheap and rubbish.
Knowing that they're a bit cheap. And like, you get what you pay for. It's like the value. But, if you're paying 20 quid for a flight, you're not going to get the best entertainment or the most comfy seats. And it's genuinely, I would book a Ryanair flight.
Yeah.
And
because it feels like they're not trying to trick you.
Yeah.
They're openly saying, like, we are cheap and a bit shit, but that's what you're paying for.
And this is what I'm saying with their TikTok. It's scalable. So that's me as an individual. They've got one customer back. I'll probably, in the next couple of years, I'll book a Ryanair flight that I wouldn't have. But they're going to have that effect on millions of people over the next few years.
Yeah.
Tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people. And that will have a massive effect on their business.
And the really clever part of their marketing on TikTok that we focus on as well with the campaigns we run is it's highly relatable. Like when the situations they're presenting in a comedic way on TikTok are super relatable to the experience of being on a flight. Like when you've got a crying baby, they've done videos of like sort of poking fun at that.
Yeah.
So it's super relatable and it's really shareable as well.
When the kind of mask is being taken off these big corporate like household names, some of them are still doing it where everything you see is extremely highly polished. But it's really interesting to see that shift in making, even with the massive businesses, taking the mask off and not everything being highly polished and being a bit more relatable. And it's really interesting to see some of the bigger brands having really positive impact with having really positive impact with that.
It makes the brand more relatable though. It makes you feel like they're a normal like person rather than this massive company.
Which is hard to do because if you think these big corporations, you could if you look at Ryanair as a business, I've read things in the past about them not treating their staff very well.
But now they've made cool TikTok videos. You don't mind that.
But this is the strange thing. That's what I'm saying, how crazy it is. Then they get one relatable person. Well, it seems like one relatable person running a TikTok
You're so
account.
easy to manipulate, Lloyd.
But I think as humans, we are. Do you see what I mean? It could be this horrible, like Amazon. Amazon do it all the time. This horrible mess up, right?
Serve a relatable video to Lloyd and he'll buy your product.
Yeah. No, but that I do think as humans, we are like that. Like
we're forgiving.
Now I think Ryanair is this 23-year-old social media manager that's got a really good sense of humour.
Yeah.
And is really
you
relatable.
relate to it.
And I'm like, yeah, I'll buy a ticket off her. Obviously, she's probably an intern. She's not even being paid.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. It's crazy that these big corporations can get back into that like relatable side of things when it's crazy.
I think the just one final thing why this type of, before we get into the how, why this content works so well is it holds the audience's attention long enough to be able to communicate the benefits of your product, to overcome objections of why people don't like your product, and to ultimately sell to them. To sell something to someone, you need their attention. And this is like a hack, inverted commas, to grab their attention and hold it long enough. And that's what we do with the campaigns we run. We create entertaining content that, for example, we are just currently working on a project with someone who sells e-commerce businesses, who's like a broker, and we're developing these really relatable sketches to the audience. Did you just burp?
I'm so sorry. Absolute old man moment. Listeners, if anyone heard that, a burp that wasn't meant to come out while Dan was making a really good point came out. I glanced at Pat to see, because he's got the headphones on behind the camera, to see if he
thumbs up. He heard it.
He was already sniggering.
Anyway,
I'd like to apologise to the public and my family for the offence I've caused.
The other day was quite funny. You did another old man accidental fart when you stood up in the office
in a meeting with the team. Yeah.
So what I was saying, sorry. So we've got this. We're working on a project at the moment with a broker who basically helps e-commerce businesses sell their business. We're creating these super relatable sketches that are tap into funny situations that the audience will understand to keep them hooked. But the script is cleverly written to ultimately position them as the best solution to sell your e-commerce business.
Like you're saying, one of the really important thing to be able to have a positive effect of this kind of entertaining video in marketing is to be able to get in front of people for long enough and for them to kind of give you permission to start selling to them. So hooking them in is important, and lots of people in the marketing world, when we're talking about content, they talk about the hook. The first couple of seconds of the video have got to be really grab the attention, and that is very important. But the real skill, I think, that most businesses don't get is how to keep them engaged after you've hooked them in for long enough to communicate the benefits of the product, service, whatever the business is, overcoming those objections. And that really is where people get the huge success, when they're able to do that. And I get so frustrated with a lot of businesses now just doing weird stuff to get the attention.
I was about to say that.
And they think, I've seen these other businesses doing this thing. So like, right, I'm gonna say stuff about my business whilst I headbutt this wall, and then I'll get the attention. And it's like,
do you know what?
No, that's going to have a negative impact.
Someone said a really funny comment on LinkedIn the other day. I actually made this point. I commented on an interview I did with someone about advertainment, and in the video, the main point I was making was that don't just create funny cat videos of stupid stuff. And then someone commented like, yeah, don't just paint yourself blue to grab people's attention, because obviously we painted you blue in a video the other day as a genie. But there was strategic reasoning behind that. You're a genie representing the point of...
That is exactly it. I think to the outside, sometimes it's hard to differentiate. You see this weird video and this weird video.
Don't just wear wigs in videos, I mean.
Yeah. But you see two weird videos side by side. Oh, there's these guys in wigs talking about business. Bit weird. There's this guy headbutting a wall talking about business. And you're like, right, both of those are weird videos. But it's like, no, this one, there's huge strategy behind keeping you engaged and communicating the points that need to be communicated, making it relatable, specific calls to action, making you take action. And this one is a guy headbutting a wall. Buy my printers.
I just imagine that actually producing that. Anyway, so let's move on to the more practical side. So listeners who are wanting to actually action this and start creating more entertaining video that drives a trackable return on investment, what are the, like, I've got a few different steps, but how would you approach this, Lloyd? Or what have you prepared for the podcast to share that's value adding?
So I guess, do you want to know about the creative process of like how you go from zero to, we got this great idea we're going to produce? Or are you more interested in the details of what makes a video a success?
All of it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. So
So what are we starting with?
Well, as I said previously, just to because the basics, although we see it as the basics because we're in this world, might not be basic to other people. So as we said, I'll go through kind of a video first before we go through the process. A hook at the start of the video is becoming more and more important. Creative in general in the advertising world online is becoming more and more important. So if the first second of your video isn't good enough to get someone's attention, it doesn't matter if you have an hour after that's directed by Quentin Tarantino and written by him. No one's going to watch it. So that's the first thing.
Can I just...
Yes.
Let's share some examples of that.
Okay.
So let me, whilst you're thinking of some, I'm thinking of campaigns we've done in the past. So for example, we did a video promoting an online virtual business event for a big SaaS company. And at the start of the video, the main lead actor jumped out from behind something and there was confetti cannons going off and it's like, whoa, like, and he screamed, he shouted something. I can't remember what it was. Let's do this.
That was the name of the event we were,
Yeah, which is like that. Another approach we've had in the past is putting the most interesting part of a video that we've produced at the start and I think strategically you want to like dangle the carrot at the start of the video and make people have to watch the video to get the answer to what on earth's going on, right? But yeah, any examples you've got?
Well, no, I think there's some good examples there. But moving on to the next stage, which I think is because the hook, most people get that now, but the next stage is where a lot of people make mistakes, I think, and that's put simply, it's making sure the viewer knows the video is for them. So it's about relatability. So if we've got someone talking to the camera in the video, it's kind of presenting something, then it'll be mentioning like their job title or the sort of person they are.
You're a founder of a company.
Yeah, it's like, vegan 50-year-old woman. Not like that, but that's the kind of thing. You need to make sure you get them hooked in, but they'll drop off if they then think, oh, this is protein powder for bodybuilders, but I'm a 50-year-old woman who likes veganism and yoga, you're not going to keep them in. So something, and it may be just visual of showing them someone that's relatable to them. So you have someone on camera representing them, or it could be literally saying vegans.
Yeah. We've done this in the past, like looking back at campaigns we've run with product-based e-commerce businesses where part of the content is like unboxings and reviews, and we've got people who look like the target market to do it because it's like, oh, I look like that. Or, if you see someone that looks like you, it's more
Our
relatable.
Data has shown that the best way to sell to a 50-year-old man with grey hair and a beer belly is get a 50-year-old man with grey hair and a beer belly in front of him saying, this is good. That's
a very simplified version.
That's a simplified version because there's obviously a lot more to that person than his beer belly and being that age. But if someone's interested in fishing, you've got to get someone that looks like a fisherman in front of them going, bloody hell, this fishing rod's good. That's just so important and something that I think is undervalued in the advertising world because it's easier just to put someone good looking that's a good actor in front of a camera and sell to everyone. And that's what in the past we've done in the TV world.
I think, again, thinking back to like some of the campaigns we've run for bigger brands, sometimes we've actually, when we're casting, we've avoided getting the really hunky, beautiful, good-looking person because we're trying to appeal to
I can't play every role.
We're trying to appeal to the more like general dad with a dad bod rather than like a model.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a really good point. The second bit after the hook that nearly everyone misses, and then like, why isn't this working? Because you've hooked them in with the headbutt in the wall. Oh, that's weird. And then there's nothing following it up. They think, oh, this isn't for me, so I'll keep scrolling. After that, that's when you've got to keep them engaged to ensure that you have time to persuade them. So obviously the way we do it is making sure with comedy and making sure it's entertaining, but also it's about how you edit videos together and how they're composed, making sure there's constant stuff to keep them engaged. So if you want to communicate 12 points in a video, you've got to be putting things in between those points, probably 15 things that are making them go, oh my God, this video is so, what's happening now? Oh, great. keeping them interested.
Just a static shot on someone saying 12 points isn't going to be very interesting.
Exactly. If you're making a short video with 1 point, you might get away with just a hook. They know it's for them and then sell to them. That might work. But if you want to get that deeper level of understanding and achieve what we said earlier, millions of people that even if they're not ready to buy, they're considering you in the future. You need to have that stuff to keep them engaged rather than just go, okay, now I've hooked them and now I'm going to sell to them because it's not going to work.
So it's the hook, it's making sure it's the person watching it knows it's relatable to them.
Yep.
It's keeping them engaged with those techniques you've spoken about.
And then finally telling them what to do. Don't expect that because you've said all this great stuff about your product, that they're obviously going to click a button and buy it today. Say to them, once you've wowed them and they're like, this is so good, this company looks so great, say, click this button now and buy it, and there's free delivery and you'll get it in 3 days' time.
And also repeatedly as well. I think people need to keep being reminded because they won't be ready. Different people will be ready at different parts of that video to take the action. So say at the start, say in the middle, say at the end.
Like we're saying, if some of our videos are kind of presented to the camera, you can have that human saying to the human, looking into the camera like I am now, click the button to buy it now, and you can be like me, a hunky guy on a podcast set. But if it's not that, then it can be visual on screen reminders of click that button, do this, take this action, and time it well. Don't just put it, every 10 seconds, let's put this thing in. Time it so you're making your potential customers are having a light bulb moment. So you're going,
what's a light bulb moment, Lloyd?
A light bulb moment is when you say something that's so relatable to a situation that your product solves, you make someone go, yeah, that would be good for me.
I've got a good example, a recent ad I've seen.
Yeah.
Have you seen Step 1 boxer shorts?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so this is definitely, if you want to see these, go on Step 1's Facebook page and you can go down to where it says page transparency and you can see all the ads. They're brilliant. They're basically like well-designed boxer shorts. I think they're made from some kind of bamboo that stops your legs chafing and stuff. And in their ads, it's always super relatable at the start to a problem that you've got, like your legs rubbing together, and they're entertaining. And they've got these special panels near your like balls that stop it rubbing and stuff. But their ads are really good and they're entertaining.
I guess, so you might be listening to this thinking, well, this sounds complicated to do. I'm going to have to work with an agency or work with someone who knows how to produce videos. I'm going to have to invest this money. And I think that the reality is, there's going to be more that you need to work on than just, I don't know, doing a Google ad for a word that's related to your business and hope something comes in. But the results that you'll get from that will obviously be proportional to that. So like the insurance company we worked with recently.
That was a cool campaign.
It's only gone live this week. And completely organic. I did a bit of a comparison from their previous sort of 10 posts on their LinkedIn page to this organically, what we produced for them, kind of comedic sketch in the style that we've been talking about. And it had, when I looked, and it's only been live for a couple of days, but 28 times more engagement and views than any of their other stuff they've ever done. And if you think that's not just, we've had to invest 10 times the amount of money and we've got 10 times the value, or we've had to invest double the amount of time into this. It's like we've got 28 times the value of what they've been doing
so
previously.
far as well. It's
just from the first video they've posted. And I think you shouldn't underestimate the value, the long-term value of that, as well as the short-term value.
I think another really important point in terms of, so we've spoken about the entertaining video side, the trackable side. I think one of the most common questions I get when engaging with people and companies and brands is like, you keep going on about this trackable return on investment. A lot of marketing companies just say they do stuff and hopefully it works. But in terms of how you can make this trackable, I think it's really important, first of all, to set out what is it you want this to achieve. Because we have brands and companies come to us with very different objectives. For example, the insurance company could come to us and want to reach as many people as possible and generate as much brand awareness and get in front of as many decision makers as possible to get out there. Or some of the e-commerce companies we've worked with are like, we want to generate trackable sales. We want someone to see this ad, go to our website and buy products on our website. So I think, first of all, it's really important to know what is it you're trying to achieve. And then you kind of work backwards like we do. What are the things you need to put in place to track that happening? And for us, running paid ads is a great way of tracking it, because you can track someone who's seen your ad, clicked on your website, bought a product. But it could be, generating traffic to the site. So you need to set the things up to work out, how are we going to track the traffic to the site? Is it Google Analytics? Is it something else?
Like we're saying, if you're any part of your marketing is that kind of thing of, oh yeah, we're pretty sure that's doing good stuff. Like, don't accept that. That's not good enough to achieve the great things that our listeners want to achieve. It's possible to. It's not possible to track everything 100% these days because of things going on with Apple and stuff like that. But you can get very close to that and have an extremely good idea. And we can track enough for our clients to show a very positive return on investment, even if there's some stuff that we can't track.
I think it is the whole marketing touch points thing. Even for us as an agency, knowing that people may have seen me speak at an event 5 years ago, spoke to you at a networking event you went to a couple of years ago, listened to the podcast. It's not easy to track every single one of those touch points, but the things you can track, you can put together a bit of a picture around, this person is in our CRM system because I met them at a networking event and they said they're interested. And they've filled out this lead form on an ad that we ran, and you can put the pieces of the puzzle together if you've got an effective system to track that, to actually ensure that you're tracking what's working. Because if you're listening to this or watching this and you invest money in marketing and you don't know what you're getting in return, you're literally burning money, because how do you know what you're getting back for what you're actually investing? It shouldn't be what your money you're spending. It's an investment.
Yeah. And can I make a final point that's much more fluffy than that very tangible
Fluff away.
stuff you're making? So this is my final thing. Obviously, trackable investment, that's like the numbers. There's no argument. It's like, put this in and get that out. Something I think is really important if you're looking at your marketing and thinking, why is this not working, or how can we improve it? I think whether you work with an agency, whether you employ different people, whether you just change the way you're doing things, having a person or a group of people that have really good empathy and can put themselves in other people's shoes is so important in your marketing. Because if you have people in control of your marketing, that, again, let's go, 60-year-old white male that likes fishing, and you're selling skincare to 14-year-olds, if they don't have the ability to empathize with the target audience and actually think, I'm not the target audience here, how we need to get into the minds of those people, the target audience. What are they wearing? What do they like? When they listen to music, do they call it a song, a track, a record? Because small things, something like that, if we wrote in a script for a 14-year-old, I just heard this great record, the sort of thing that maybe an older person would think that's how you talk about music. Straight away, you lose that audience and they think, this isn't for me. Like that. Why is that person saying record?
Yeah.
I don't even know what they would call it. I'd probably call it a track because I'm pretty cool. But it's those small things and those fine details really can have a big impact if you don't get them right and aren't able to put yourself, or at least have some people within your organization that can really put themselves in your customers' shoes.
And I think to reinforce that point, if you don't have someone in your company who's got that empathy towards the target market, like a few things to do: speak to your customers, survey your customers. Something that I'm quite proud of with Knowlton is we invest a lot of time in the kind of discovery kickoff call stage with a project where and Lloyd manages this, so I can't take the credit, but we've got a really detailed set of questions that we ask a new customer to really understand who it is they're targeting, the language they're using, the things that are relatable to them, so that even if we didn't have someone who's very specifically in that market target market who can be very empathetic, we've really taken the time to understand what they're like, because otherwise we're just guessing.
Yeah. And that's how you get terrible results.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 14-year-old girls are probably like this. Yeah, they like fishing too.
Cool. So, yeah, I think, do you have anything else to add? I think
No, I just wanted to make that point finally. Add some fluff around your really tangible points that you made.
I guess one final thing from me as an action, if you're listening, to get started with this, go and
Cool, Knowlton.
No, I wasn't going to do that.
Okay.
Jeez. Go and something that really helps us is looking at other creators for inspiration, not just other businesses. Like, and we've said this in the past, getting inspiration from other content creators out there for how they're producing content. Recently, we've actually released a video a short while ago about budget and taking the mick out of when budget's brought up in a sales conversation. It's doing really well. And we got inspiration from that from a creator on TikTok. So definitely spend time consuming content from different people to get inspiration.
Yeah.
Who are actually doing good stuff.
Don't just get inspired by your industry. If you're trying to make a funny video, who do you think is going to be better? The best comedians in the world or the best comedians in the graphic design space?
And on that note, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please let your friend, family member, nan, aunt, dog know about it, because we want more people to listen to this because we enjoy producing it and we put a lot of time and effort into this. Well, I do anyway. Lloyd just turns up and acts like an idiot.
DMX used to do that on stage. Do you know?
Yeah. If you remember DMX, then please message Lloyd, and we'll see you in your ears next week.
See you in your ears next week.